Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Raven's Readings. Here are two more of my own stories from the archives. I do like writing to a variety of challenges, and I've done over 100 of these stories so far. You can read them via my website at ravenzoo.ca. I'll be reading these on Fridays and some of the classics on Tuesdays. The prompt for the first story was to take 2 points of view, the protagonist and then the antagonist. Choices. Alice could hear them getting closer, calling to each other from the alleys and rooftops. She'd have to work faster to finish. This was their turf. She winced as she sprayed up higher. Still had bruises from their last encounter, but at least one of them had a bent nose now. She heard a crack as she kicked him off the shed roof. Her family had moved here to the poorest part of town when she was 12, and she'd had to learn some tricks pretty fast, like when to swagger and when to fade and when to fight and when to run. She carried a small knife, but her agility was her biggest asset. She could outrun and outclimb the best of them. Running the roofs opened up a whole different world from the suburbs. She'd boosted a few things, food mainly, and only from the big stores, and had to climb a few times to escape a chubby security guard huffing along behind her. Roofs were also a nice place to just relax, watch the stars, look at the faces and words scrawled on the walls. Safe, too, except when the gangs were out for a run. This area was pretty lawless. Sure, the police patrolled the nearby shops and banks, but most avoided this area, figuring the various little gangs would work things out on their own. By the sound of the shouts, they were only a block away now, so she'd better finish up and move on. She smiled and waved up at the security camera. She knew the building owner. He was cool, didn't mind her work. Liked it, in fact. Her big problem would be from bylaws. The city had hired more officers to patrol the patios along Queen and King, looking for smokers to bust. Just cigarettes, but it's like a game now as smokers texted on ahead to warn their friends and bylaws tried to sneak up. Some would sneak up by way of the back alley, and when they came across her, well, out came their little book, and then there was another infraction against her, and another battle with her mom. Next time it happened, she'd track the jerk down and tag his car. She stepped back. Oh, just a little bit more midnight blue to bring out the wolf's features better. The voice was right behind her. "Nice work," he said. "You're getting better at eyes." She jumped and then turned and looked at her knapsack, sitting between them. She reached for the bag. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Your only route is up that wall, and that bag looks heavy. But maybe $100 worth of cans in there. Shame to have to leave it." She'd seen this cop before. He seemed nicer than some of the others, but you never could tell. She usually didn't stick around, disappearing over a fence or up a drain pipe before they could even start to chase her. This one did look fitter than the others, though. Pulled out his handheld, looked at the screen and scrolled and smiled. "Yep, here you are. Nothing big. Since you moved here, you picked up some warnings, a few charges, shoplifting, loitering, fighting, and, of course, graffiti. And you're still only 15. Quite a start of a career." "Not many choices in this shitty neighborhood," she said. "You always have choices, Alex." "Okay, here's mine," she said. "You bust me, call social services, we all go see my mom, she cries, you give me a lecture, we're done. Or I head up that wall, I can always rack more cans." There was a bark overhead and a voice called down to them. "Hey, here's that little bitch, the one that broke my nose." Heads started to appear along the rooftop. The voice called again. "Let her go, cop, we'll teach her for you. Make her scared to show her face here." She tensed her muscles. Maybe she still could outrun them. Scott had been patrolling the back alley, checking for open doors, when he heard the familiar tock-a-tock-a-tock of a spray can from a nearby roof. He crept up the fire escape and spotted a small figure next to a wall. Not just tagging either, there were some cute cartoon faces. They were working fast. He could hear some of the gangs getting closer. Oh, it looked like it was Alex, a regular in the neighborhood. She'd had a few brushes with the law, but seemed a nice kid. He paused, handcuffs in hand. He could just step back. Be a simple solution for him, go back to his patrol, but maybe she needed to be shown a few more possible paths, to be given some new choices. Well, they talked, and he felt he was making some progress until one of the gang showed up, delighted to have caught their prey. Scott nodded to Alex. "Trust me on this," he muttered. He stepped toward her and looked up at the eager faces. "Sorry, guys, she's my bust. And this time I'll make sure we throw the book at her. I'm getting tired of seeing her face around here. Move on. I can hear the tweets calling for you to come and play." He could hear the whistles in the distance, and there to be a battle somewhere tonight. The heads all disappeared from overhead, and soon the sounds of barks could be heard as the gang headed farther west. He stepped back from Alex. "Okay, they're gone for now, but they haven't forgotten, I'm sure. That nose looked pretty bad." She smiled. It was a nice kick. "So, would you like another choice?" She looked at him suspiciously. "Just what did you have in mind?" He pointed at the wall. "Well, some of this. Well, you're good, but what about in the daytime with other writers and sometimes with free paint?" She laughed. "Yeah, right. No, I mean it. I'm starting up a program. We've got some money lined up and some people that actually want this kind of work, especially once they find out it stops tagging and also brightens their place up. And some people just like to help." "What'll it cost me?" "Well, I'll ask you to stop tagging. I've seen your stuff around the city from when you first moved here. Not a lot of recent work, more big pieces like this one. It's time to make a choice and move on." "I'm not ratting my friends to you," she said. "Well, that's okay. I probably know more of them than you realize. All you need to do is show up, learn a bit, teach a bit, and maybe be in my videos. I like to tape some events for YouTube." "And the city lets you do this?" "Okay," he said, waiting to see if it works out before they really support it. "No problem." He picked up the knapsack and handed it to her. "So, do you have a deal?" She slipped a strap over her shoulder and then smiled. "A deal." The end. I might have ended up with just 2 protagonists. I'm not sure. For the second story, we were to write about starting another year of public school. Back to school. It's the first day of school, and I can hardly wait to start. I love this day. Last summer feels like a vague blur, boring, the same old, same old. I have a school bag full of supplies and a new windbreaker and a pair of bright new sneakers. They're the same brand as last year, but I still like them. Hopefully they'll stay nice for at least one day this time. Last year, Dan and his football buddies caught me at the bus stop before I even got into the school and dragged me and my shoes through every muddy puddle they could find. I think the only thing those jerks like about school, other than football and cheerleaders, is picking on kids like me. It's a nice, cool Ohio day, sunny and fresh smelling. The school buses have rumbled up to the curb, cars full of kids are tooting their horns, and my friends are hugging and chattering after our summer away. I don't see anyone I recognize, but then I only have a few friends here. I dart through a break in the traffic and head up the main steps. I've already checked my schedule, so I know that my first class will be calculus, my favorite. Last year, our math club did really well. Hopefully this year we'll go all the way to the nationals. Principal Gordon is standing just inside the door, scowling, arms folded, shoulders of his jacket ready to split at the seams. He's an ex-football coach and ignores kids like me. Apparently my being president of the math club means nothing to him. I nod as I pass, just in case, but his gaze seems to pass right through me. I scurry down the hall, head down, shoulders hunched, beginning to think I might make it to my locker unscathed. No one has yelled at me or swatted me across the head. No one has even jostled me out of the way. There's a new display case by the main office with some photos and clippings in it, so I pause and peer inside. Looks like some kind of memorial thing for a school shooting. That's strange. I don't remember anything like this. Well, it couldn't have been here. I peer at the 5 photos, all kids my age. The first 4 are vaguely familiar, and the last one, shit, it's me. The end. So, in a loop here at the start of a happy day. Do those memories all come back to him now? Stay tuned for more podcasts, either my own stories on Fridays or some of the classics on Tuesdays. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll get the next installment as soon as it's ready. If you enjoy this reading or have other stories you'd like to hear, leave me a comment. And do check out my other posts on my Substack at ravensview.substack.com. Ta-ta for now.